The Speed MP 2024 not only offers easier access to spin, but it also has a slightly higher launch angle for easier access to depth. With its 325 plus swing weight, the Speed MP feels rock solid on groundies and volleys, and it rewards full cuts with enough power to close out points. In addition to the slightly more flexible and arm-friendly stiffness rating, the Speed MP also benefits from Graphene's 360 plus, which strengthens the frame in key locations to provide a more powerful and stable hitting experience. Ultimately, with subtle updates to the feel for 2024, the Speed MP continues to be a great option for intermediate and advanced players who want controllable power and great feel. Hey everyone, Jake here, and today we're going to find out if the Speed MP actually does all that. In this 1000-round review, I will go over the power, spin, control, comfort, and price of this racket. For those of you new to this channel, the structure I follow is hitting at least 1,000 tennis balls. If you pause the video right here, here is how the structure is broken down. Why I do this is for two reasons. One, to test the comfort and fatigue level of the racket. How does my arm feel after hitting at least 1,000 tennis balls? And number two, to get used to a racket I'm not used to. With all that said, let's get into the specs of this Head Speed MP. The unstrung weight is 10.6 ounces. It is 4 points head light. The head size is 100 square inches. The string pattern is 16 by 19, and the recommended tension is 48 to 57 pounds. Now this particular racket is a demo, so it's currently strung at 55 pounds, and the strings are just a polyester and synthetic gut. The paint job of this racket is a gray and black. It's very formal, very business-like. You know, there's nothing super flashy about this racket. It's just kind of like down to business. That's kind of the theme of this racket. I would say it's very stable and very simple. Now, before I go over the power and spin and all that stuff about this racket, I do have a disclaimer. At the end of the session, while doing serves, I did bust the strings originally on this racket.
There she goes.
So while this racket was in the shop getting restrung, the shop was very nice and gave me the Head Speed Pro to demo while this one was getting restrung. So I have a bonus for you guys today. We're gonna review a little bit of the Head Speed Pro. All right, number one, power. Power from this racket is solid. Now, if you look on the side of this racket, it has a little feature called power grommets, which, you know, there's a whole bunch of technology in there. For a racket like this, I could tell that ground strokes were solid. Everything was going more towards the baseline, but not too far. Everything was staying outside of that service box, so a lot of the shots I was hitting were not falling short, which is a very good sign that there is a little bit of extra power coming from this racket. Not as much as the Yonex E-Zone, but I would say this is more in the ballpark of like the Gravity MP. When it came to serves, like I said just a few moments ago, I broke the strings on it. So I only got a handful of serves in before the strings broke, but from the few serves I was able to do, power felt pretty good. Nothing too special in one way or the other. I was able to do a little bit of kick serves, flat serves, and slice serves. So I was able to do a little bit of everything. Now, serving for the Pro was a lot of fun. The best way I could describe it is hitting like with a hammer.
Jacob, have you ever like had a radar gun check your serve?
No. So that interaction was fun because I could tell with my flathead serves, my power serves, it was making an incredible sound that it caught the attention of the nearby courts. So a little bit of a heavier weight, I could tell that the serves were feeling really good. Slice and kick serves were fine. Just that's a little tough for me because of my play style, but when it came to just flat power serves, the Pro version of this racket worked really, really well. Number two, spin. Spin from the Speed MP is also rock solid. My basic ground stroke, I was able to hit tighter and flatter forehand shots and backhand shots, but this racket was versatile enough to where I could also hit heavy top spin if I needed to, switch up my play style to really get that ball to arc and come back down to the court. Now, in comparison to the Pro version of this racket, I can feel the spin being a little bit tighter than on the MP version of this racket. I could switch up my play style to hit more heavier top spin, but that was a little more difficult. Not by much, but just a little bit. Number three, control. Now these are 100 square inch head rackets, but control is really, really good with both of these rackets. So for the MP version, with my down the line shots, both on the forehand and backhand, really rock solid. I keep using that phrase, rock solid, but that's kind of what I think about this racket. Stability felt crisp and clean. In a weird way, it almost felt like a 98. I play with a 97 square inch head with my Bobble Up Pure Strike VS. This one, even though it's a 100 square inch head, it felt like a smaller head size in a way, but like really controllable. And that's what I really like about this racket. For the one-handed backhand, I freaking love this racket. Whew. The one-handed backhand from this racket felt absolutely incredible. Super stable, you get a little extra boost in power, and there's some control. Now for the pro version of this head speed, control is also really solid. I would say just a hair more control than the MP version of this racket. Now I did get a slow motion shot of hitting a one-handed backhand with the pro version of this racket, and this is a great visual example of not properly hitting the tennis ball or hitting the sweet spot of the racket. So if you watch my bicep here, there's a couple of these one-handed shots where I hit clean, and you don't see much of a rattle in the bicep. You don't see a ripple effect. And then the shots where I don't hit it as clean, you can really see my bicep warp and wobble because it's absorbing all that shock of the tennis ball, hitting the racket and going through the racket into my arm. So that's just a little bit of an example of a couple things happening at the same time. So when it comes to playing with the pro version of this racket, just be mindful of that, not as forgiving as maybe some other rackets. Number 4, comfort. Now the comfort of this racket for the MP version is middle of the road. At the end of the hitting session, I had the slightest twinge in my arm and my shoulder, but not by much. It was just a little bit there. When it came to the slices and volleys, there was a little bit of rattle in my arm. Not much, just a little bit. Now for the pro version of this head speed, I was careful this time around when hitting with it because I know it's heavier, and when I play with heavier rackets, I tend to swing harder than I should, and that wears out my arm faster. So I really focused on just trying to do a cleaner form and letting the racket do the work. That felt really, really good on the ground strokes when it came to power, but if I wanted to slap the absolute crap out of the ball, I could with this racket. I could feel a little bit more rattle in my arm when I did that, but the results were insane. Number 5, price. Now the price of these rackets as of right now, you can find them for around $300. Now that is a expensive racket, especially when the middle of the road for a brand new racket is about $220. I'm sure if you look around, you could probably find a couple that are on sale or maybe slightly used. You could get a better deal on these rackets because they came out in 2024. So yeah, I would say these rackets are a little bit pricier than some of the other rackets out there that maybe have the same kind of features, but this racket, I believe, is for someone who wants nothing but business. Like, you get on the court, you want to win, you want to get out of there as fast as you can. You're there to seek, search, and destroy. At least that's the vibe I get from this racket. So overall, I would suggest the Head Speed MP to intermediate and advanced players. It's rock solid, it has a lot of stability, it's got a good amount of power, good amount of spin, it's really versatile. You can kind of play almost any kind of play style with this racket. The pro version of this Head Speed I would suggest to advanced players because of the heavier weight, the tighter string pattern, and you need a little bit more athletic ability to control this racket and to get the most use out of this racket. Let me know in the comments what racket you want me to review next, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.